Hello and welcome to Wisdom Trek. This is Guthrie Chamberlain, and I'm your guide to wisdom and creating a living legacy. Thank you for joining us for our 7-day-a-week, 7 Minutes of Wisdom podcast. This is day 190 of our trek, and yesterday we explored why it is wise to always discuss issues, but not to argue. Today we will learn how to overcome the obstacles of conflict, which may be blocking our trail. If you miss any of our Days of the Wisdom Trek episodes, please go to wisdom-trek.com to listen to them and to read our daily journal. We are recording our podcast from our studios at Home 2 in Charlotte, North Carolina. Saturday, I spent over 9 hours taking down acoustical ceiling tiles, trim, and wallpaper at the big house. It required a lot of going up and down on the ladder and removing hundreds of staples that were holding up the tiles using needle nose pliers. Fortunately, the wallpaper did come off pretty easy though. To say that I was exhausted at the end of the day would certainly be an understatement. The Marietta grandkids came over for the evening and assisted with some final wallpaper removal. Paula and her mom were also a big help, picking up most of the tiles and the wallpaper. On Sunday, I spoke at the morning service at Putnam Congregational Church. The lesson was the 5 principles of planting and harvesting, which compared farming to planting and harvesting in our own personal lives. If you'd like to hear a similar lesson to this, go to wisdom-trek.com/day-15 or 15, which is the outline that I use for my lesson at church today. After church, we finished packing up the car and headed to Home 2 in Indian Trail, North Carolina. We will remain here until Christmas Eve, when we will head north again. We will be at Home 2 for about 2.5 weeks, but we already have much work and many activities planned. But it is now time to head out on our trek for today, as it has been reported to us that there are some major obstacles on our trail for today. The obstacles seem to be caused by conflicts that we are having with other people, and also conflicts that people are having with us. On both of these type of conflicts, we need to come up with a solution that will get us around or through these obstacles. So today's hike is called Overcoming Conflicts Which Block Success. Anytime we are making good grounds and moving towards success, there will inevitably be the opportunity for conflict. That's just a fact of life. If you put 2 or more people into a group, there's always potential for conflict. And conflict improperly handled can destroy our ability to continue on and to achieve the goals we desire. This is true in many areas of life, from home to work to school. It can happen in our marriage, it can happen among family members, friends, or business associates. And when conflict goes bad, our success and enjoyment of life will be limited. The good news is that conflict, when properly handled, can be healthy and actually move you closer to your success. Success is based on relationships, and relationships offer a chance for conflict. So to get success, you must master conflict. So with that in mind, here are some ideas for handling conflict. First, when you are the one who is confronting the problem with somebody else. Point number 1 here is don't assume. Don't assume the worst. Don't assume that they meant what you think they did. Don't assume that they know any better. Don't assume that they did it on purpose. The fact is, most of the time our assumptions are incorrect, and all our assumptions do is to cause us to get into a deeper hole. The second point is to ask questions. Since you can't assume anything, you must begin your confrontation by finding out the facts as the person sees them, not as you see them. Here are some questions you might ask. What was your intention in saying or doing that? Because maybe they had good but misguided intentions. Second question could be, what were your thoughts behind those words or actions? Because maybe they actually had a well thought out position that you hadn't thought of. Third, are you aware how that might have been perceived? Because maybe they just missed how it would be seen, and everybody is entitled to blow it now and then. And our third major point, if we're dealing with other people, tell them how you perceive things or how you feel rather than what they did. It is never good to start out telling somebody, you did this. Instead, you can say something like, I feel like your action may have been better if you would have, or I think the way you came across may have been, and then leave it open-ended. And the fourth point is, deal with one issue at a time. If they battle back a bit, you may be tempted to say, well, that isn't all. As a matter of fact, a number of us think that you need to work on. If there is another issue, then deal with it at a separate time. Too many conflicts go round and round and don't end up solving the original issue. Stick to one point and see it through to understanding. The second way you have to deal with conflicts is when somebody is confronting you. And the first sub-point here is, don't take it personal. The worst case scenario in this is that you blew it, but that doesn't mean that you're a bad person. So don't act like they have accused you and have committed character assassination, unless they have, in which case you should try to get your conversation back to the facts. When we take things personally, we become even more protective, and we tend to become defensive, and in the end, escalate the conflict even more. The second subpoint is, don't counterattack. This gets back to dealing with one issue at a time. Don't try to justify or hide from the conflict the person has with you by showing him or her their problems. If they have a problem, great, talk about it later. Don't muddy the waters with debate about who is better, or as the case may be, less guilty. As hard as it may be, let the conversation run its course until it is solved. The third subpoint in this section is, ask for some time to give it an objective reflection. One way to stop the conflict from escalating is simply to ask for time to consider it. Most of the time when people confront us, we had no idea it was coming. Our natural tendency is to fight, out of reaction. If we go and think about it, we can be much more objective and then approach the situation objectively, or at least more so. And the fourth subpoint here is to set a time to get back with them and discuss the issue. Let the person know that you will take their concerns seriously and that you want to deal with it promptly. So set a time, probably no more than 3 days away, to get back together. You will keep from reacting, and they may even find that they had confronted too soon themselves. Either way, here are 3 points that may help you over or through the obstacles of conflict that are on your trails of life. First, keep the big picture in mind. 1 Peter 4:8. Most important of all, continue to show deep love for each other, for love covers a multitude of sins. Number 2, always respect the other person as a person. Colossians 3 verses 12 through 14. Since God chose you to be the holy people He loves, you must clothe yourself with tender-hearted mercy, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Make allowance for each other's fault and forgive anyone who offends you. Remember, the Lord forgave you, so you must forgive others. Above all else, clothe yourself with love, which binds us all together in perfect harmony. And the third point is, be solution-oriented. Romans 12:16. Live in harmony with each other. Don't be too proud to enjoy the company of ordinary people, and don't think that you know it all. Conflict doesn't have to end in a bad way. In fact, it can cause you to develop a deeper and more trusting relationship with the person you've had a conflict with. So the next time you have to confront, or you're being confronted, follow the advice above and you'll be able to go farther along toward getting through the conflict in a positive way. As we trek together through each day of life, overcome the obstacles of conflict, which will block your trail to a rich and satisfying life. Be willing to work through all these issues and focus on what is most important in life. As you travel each day, please share Wisdom Trek with your family and friends and encourage them to join us and then come along with us for another day of Wisdom Trek, Creating a Legacy. And tomorrow we will conquer Alibi Mountain. That will finish our podcast for today. Remember to listen to your daily dose of wisdom each day at wisdom-trek.com or subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, Spreaker, or any of the other social media platforms. The journal for today's trek can be found at wisdom-trek.com. Thank you so much for allowing me to be your guide, your mentor, but most importantly, you are my friend as I serve you through the Wisdom Trek podcast and journal each day. As we take this trek together, let us always live abundantly, love unconditionally, listen intentionally, learn continuously, lend to others generously, lead with integrity, and leave a living legacy each day. This is Guthrie Chamberlain reminding you to keep moving forward, enjoy your journey, and then create a great day every day. See you tomorrow.